Hello, I hope you're well. I'm going to just launch into a topic that I've been thinking about a lot recently. A lot. I keep thinking about getting old. I keep thinking about death. Um, well, mainly getting old, winding down, not being able to do things that I used to be able to do very recently, and the deterioration, can't say that word. Anyway, the increasing weakness of my system has been playing on my mind as well as my body, and I thought I'd do a video about it. Um, I've got some very, very succinct notes to the side. First one is feel 16 in my head. So talking about my mind, I have this sort of weird sort of binary mindset. I still feel like that anxious 16-year-old that I remember being, as if I was that anxious 16-year-old yesterday. Um, I don't. I mean, I'm 43. In my head, I don't feel like a 43-year-old, like middle-aged, sort of responsible adult. And I have read comments, or maybe articles about other autistic people describing that feeling of you know feeling younger in their mind than they actually are. So I'm still the anxious sort of 16-year-old, alert to danger, very mindful of not being popular and having to blend in, having to mask, and that feeds the anxiety and so on. But over the last few months, I've really felt the effects of aging, like physically, and that's made me, like I said, dwell upon getting old. And you know, a few months ago, I was able to run like 60 miles a week. Um, and I still do run, but as I've said to several people recently, unprompted, when after I've done like a 5 mile run, like the day after, I feel sore. Um, my legs still hurt. That, that never used to happen. Like I said, I used to run 60 miles a week. I'm not like pretending to be a professional athlete. It was just like a special interest, and it was part of my routine. And yes, by trying to run fast, I'm being a show off. But you know, running has helped me, stay healthy, obviously, and it's important for my mood as well. So it's nice to run fast now and again, or it was. This is the point. I don't run. I mean, it's all relative. Some people would say that I do run very fast still, but not like I used to, and that's my point. Quite recently, I was able to run, a lot faster than a lot of people, and that's not to brag. It's just to, again, make the point that I used to be able to do something that I'm now not able to do, and it's frustrating. Um, and you could say, well, what's this got to do with autism? And because we're all, none of us are getting younger, as if we need to be told that. Um, well, for one thing, while whilst I've been reading about autism, as I do, because it's one of my other special interests, I've read about life expectancy for autistic people, and it's grim reading. People, what's it, 8 or 9 times more likely to take their own lives if they're autistic. And so therefore the life expectancy of autistic people, and that's one reason why the life expectancy on average is lesser than for neurotypical people. So yeah, that's not really where I'm going with this. I mean, that's probably a topic for another day, about why people feel that they've got no other option, and trigger warning and so on. But no, this is about, is by the fact that I'm the person in this video, um, the title of the video, Autism and Aging, is appropriate because I'm autistic and I'm talking about aging. But I deliberately didn't write a script for this because I did just want to think aloud. And I think, based on what people have said about previous unfiltered videos that I've done, people quite enjoyed me just rambling on and, maybe making sense along the way. But having said that, I did make one note that will hopefully steer this into making some sort of sense, and that is autism equals need for peace, and aging equals a need for peace. And, I did a live stream recently, and someone shared that they're retired. But, I was so jealous. I mean, great for them. I can't wait to be retired, and that's not to wish my life away. I want to be retired now. So why is there such a strong desire for me to be retired, to not go to work? Well, I kind of answered that one. I need peace, and as I've said over the last few months, I've realised that physically I'm not able to run as much as I used to, or as far as I used to, and I've noticed that generally in the mornings I just struggle more to acclimatize to the day, to brace myself for the responsibilities that I need to fulfill, like going to work, like making dinner, like doing chores around the house, like doing the other job that I do, making the YouTube videos that obviously requires energy, and here I am moaning about the lack of energy or the dwindling energy levels that I have. And yeah, being autistic for me is fundamentally about peace and order and people getting along. And as I get older, it's increasingly about me, having peaceful surroundings so that I'm not having to expend as much energy to keep up with other people. And my need for peace and order, I would suggest, is stronger than most people's because I'm autistic. So I refresh my screen. Not that there's a great deal of notes. Memories, nostalgia. I'll come back to that somehow. But I think, if you're autistic and you're late diagnosed and you're of a similar age, I think you might recognize at least some of what I'm saying. As we get older, we're not able to do things in the same way that we used to be able to do. We're settling into our new knowledge that we're autistic. A lot of post-diagnosis grief, not grief because we're autistic, but grief at not knowing sooner and the missed opportunities. And that in itself saps energy, I find anyway. Just that daily monologue of internal monologue of, why didn't I know sooner? Why can't I run as much as I used to? Why do I feel more and more tired? So having that knowledge, better late than never, I can advocate for my needs, my need for peace, but I still need to go to work and do what, dare I say, most other people do. And I don't want to do it anymore. I'm feeling every single minute of my 43 years, whilst is a pretentious word, isn't it? While also having that mindset of being an anxious 16-year-old, not actually feeling like a middle-aged adult, knowing that I am, but not really deep in my deep in my bones, yes. Physically, yes, but mentally, no. I'm kind of not ready to accept, or probably never will accept, the age that I actually am. I'm kind of stuck in this sort of scared teenager mindset. It's difficult to explain. I should probably explain it in another video. And if you do identify with anything I've just said, and let me know. Because, big reason why I'm making these videos is to not feel alone and to help other people, or other autistic people, not feel so alone. So if what I've just said about, you know, feeling mentally much younger than I actually am makes sense, then let me know whether you recognize that in yourself. But yeah, physically, it's becoming more and more of a grind to do what I need to do. And I resent that. And my mind, my monologue, keeps returning to this, well, you shouldn't have to do all of these things. You're getting old and you're autistic and you need that peace, and that you need a greater level of peace and order than most people. So why can't you have it? And it's frustrating that I can't have it. And so with retirement, I mean, it might happen. I might get to that age. It might not, given the way that politics is going in the UK. Retirement might be an unattainable goal for me. I might never get there, because I keep pushing back the retirement age until, what, 75? I don't know. I doubt very much that I'll get to that age anyway, especially if I'm made to work to get a pension that is minuscule anyway. And yes, so I'm very mindful that I'm rambling on about that in, the sixth richest country in the world, and lots of other people have it a lot worse than I do. But I can only talk about my own autistic experiences. This is my YouTube channel. I suppose I have the right, just like anyone else, if they want to set up their own YouTube channel. I can only moan about my own experiences while being mindful that, a lot of people have it a lot worse off. But in talking about my own experiences, my internal monologue, my deteriorating physical state, I hope that, it resonates with other people. And maybe by listening to me talking about aging in relation to being autistic, it might make you feel better about, similar experiences that you might be going through. Like I said, I'm arguably tailoring this as I speak to a specific group of people who are late diagnosed autistic people in their in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. Not that if you're 16 years old, actually 16 years old and autistic, not that you have to switch off because it's no longer relevant. Because you're 16 now, and as your parents and others will have said to the point of tedium, you won't be 16 for long. That's how time works. You'll soon be a grumbling, whinging, moaning, all the synonyms, middle-aged autistic person, possibly making a YouTube video that possibly barely anyone watches. So memories and nostalgia. Yeah, it's a weird one because I do like reflecting on past times when I was, had a lot more energy, and particularly I think about university. And again, it's probably a topic for another video, but clearly memories, nostalgia relates to aging. And there is some sort of solace to be had, for me anyway, in sort of living in this fantasy land of nostalgia. just but for moments in the day to make it more tolerable, to pretend that I'm back at uni or I'm even back at school, because I enjoyed school. I know a lot of autistic people and non-autistic people don't and didn't enjoy school, but I really enjoyed school. Couldn't stand sixth form. Again, probably one for another video. But I like the structure of school. I like being rewarded for knowing things. It was fantastic. I like playing sport, even though I'm terrible at sport. I can run. I could put one foot in front of the other, or used to. Team sports, I'm absolutely awful at. And Lizzie at Creative Autistic mentioned that, can't say it, proprioception. I'll probably have to edit that word in now. Anyway, awareness of your body in relation to other objects. I think I might be undiagnosed dyspraxic as well. Anyway, the point is, I enjoyed school, and in my 40s, I will sort of randomly reflect on being at school in the 90s, because because I didn't have the responsibilities of being an adult, and it wasn't as exhausting as being a late diagnosed autistic adult going through post-diagnosis grief, with 2 jobs and a family. So I suppose everyone, to some extent, feels nostalgia at some point in their lives. But the reason I'm mentioning it, emphasizing right now, is because I feel more and more nostalgic. I retreat back more and more into very old memories. And that's sad in a way, because that indicates that I'm not too hopeful about the future. I'm very worried about the world in general. I mean, I have been since I got involved in politics when the Iraq War started, but I've never felt as low as I do right now about global politics. And it frustrates me that I haven't got the energy that I had in my early 20s to try and make a difference. And I feel bad about that, because if I feel selfish for not doing as much as I used to be able to do. But then I have to keep telling myself, I'm autistic. I need to advocate for my own needs as well as other people's. And, as Paul at Adult with Autism says, self-preservation is not selfishness. So, sorry, that screen's not going to come back on. It's going to annoy me now. It's a mountain range, which is far more useful than the notes that I made. So now I'm thinking about going for a walk in the mountains. Although I'll probably suffer with that, wouldn't I? Because I'm getting old. I need a walking stick. No, I'm not belittling other people's challenges with, if physical ailments, disabilities. I'm not. I can, I've got it a lot better than most, but I have to remind myself not to fall into that trap of dismissing my own struggles because they're not as bad as other people's. I think it's really dangerous, because then you'll just internalize it as self-blame. So, what I'm moaning about, or have been moaning about in this video, is valid. Keep thinking about it. I keep thinking about it so often that I felt compelled to make this video. And I hope, as I said, that some of what I've said is interesting, is relatable, and it's probably one that I'll come back to as I keep processing this late acquired knowledge that I'm autistic. I'll probably come back to the theme of aging. I will probably do a video about death. Yeah, it's important to talk about the dark side of autism, as Paul calls it, as well as the fun and fluffy stuff. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what the objective of this video was, other than for me to speak into the void, but I know it's not a void. I know that people will listen, will watch, and it means a lot to me to hear from people. Not that if you do watch this, you have to then comment, but just taking the time out of your day to watch this means a lot to me. And yeah, if you've got any thoughts about aging, specifically related to being autistic or autism as a subject, then I'm all ears. See, we can do idioms. I'm not literally all ears. I mean, I'm listening. I'm going to read your comments and I'm going to be very interested in what you have to say. So, thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say, and take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next video.